Good morning. I'd like to start with a simple observation. Over the years, we've invested billions in cybersecurity. Bigger firewalls, better endpoint protection, multi-factor authentication, and more recently, AI-powered defense. All of that matters, and I'm not here to suggest that we stop investing in technology. AI is one of the most exciting tools I've seen in my career. But here's what I've noticed. Every incident I've been involved with, ransomware, payment fraud, data breaches, it all ends in the same place. Not a firewall, not a hacker, not even a computer, but a person making a decision. Someone trusts an email, someone approves a payment, somebody shares information because based on everything they can see, it feels like the right thing to do. And that's changed how I think about cybersecurity. I no longer see it as a technology challenge. Rather now, I see it as a judgment challenge. So over the next 25 minutes, I want to explore why the organisations that thrive in the age of AI won't be the ones with the best cyber technology. They'll be the ones whose people make the best decisions. Technology protects systems, but people protect decisions. Every so often, a technology comes along that doesn't just improve what we do, it changes the whole environment in which we're operating. And without question, AI is one of those moments. For years, we taught people to spot phishing emails, to check for spelling mistakes, check the sender's address, be suspicious of poor grammar. And that was good advice because creating something convincing took time, effort, and skill. But that's changed. Someone with almost no technical knowledge can now produce a beautifully written email, a convincing website, or even a cloned voice in a matter of minutes. The technology has moved at a truly astonishing speed. Unfortunately, as humans, we haven't. We still rely on instincts that trust things which look professional or sound familiar. Those instincts aren't wrong. They're just operating in a world that's changed faster than most humans have. So this isn't really a story about cyber and AI. It's a story about adaptation. The question isn't how do we protect ourselves in our AI world? The question's how does our judgment evolve as fast as the technology around us? I'd like you to imagine standing in front of these two doors. One's genuine and one's created entirely by AI. No other clue. You can't knock. You can't ask someone else. You simply need to decide which one you trust. Now, a few years ago, most of us would have felt fairly confident. We'd have looked for the imperfections that gave the fake one away. But those clues are rapidly disappearing. And that's the real issue. It's not that AI can create convincing images. It's that it can create convincing emails and websites and voices and CVs and even video calls. And appearance is no longer a reliable test of authenticity. I don't find that frightening. In fact, I find it fascinating because it forces a better question. If we can't rely on appearance, what do we rely on instead? And that's what today is about. Not becoming suspicious of everything you see, but developing better judgment when certainty is harder to find. The organisations that succeed over the next decade won't be the ones that are best at spotting fake things. They'll be best at making good decisions when the answer isn't obvious. The reality is that good advice has a shelf life. It doesn't become wrong, it's just that the world moves on. And cybersecurity is no different. For years, we've told people not to click suspicious links, to check the sender, to look for spelling mistakes. Good habits, because most phishing emails were easy to spot if you took a little care. But AI has changed that equation. It writes better English than most of us. It imitates a colleague's style. It produces something entirely plausible. Looking more closely at an email isn't the security control it used to be. I don't think that the answer is another rule. Rules solve yesterday's problems, and the people attacking our organisations don't follow the rule book. They rewrite it. The better question isn't what new rule do people need, it's what judgment do we want our people to develop. Good judgment adapts. It works when the technology changes, when the attack changes, when the world changes. And that's the upgrade that every organisation needs to make now. If there's only one slide I'd like you to remember from today, it's this one. Cybersecurity has become a judgment problem. That's quite a statement, because for years we treated it either as a technology problem or a people problem. Buy better technology or give people more training. And look, both matter, but neither gets to the heart of it. Most organisations I work with have excellent technology: firewalls, endpoint protection, email filtering, MFA, monitoring. They're far better protected than 5 or 10 years ago. So if that's the case, why do successful attacks still happen? Because sooner or later, every technical control hands the decision back to a person. An email arrives and someone decides whether to trust it. A payment request lands and someone decides whether to approve it. Technology can inform that decision, but it can't make it for us. And that's why the conversation needs to change. I don't want organisations obsessed with stopping people making mistakes. I want them brilliant at helping people make better decisions. The first is built on fear. The second on confidence and judgment. Most of us will end up using very similar AI tools and security platforms. The real differentiator will be the quality of the decisions that people make every day. And that's what Human Firewall 2.0 is about. It's not replacing technology, but strengthening the judgment that's behind it. Let me ask you a question. Imagine I offered you £10 million on one condition. Before I hand it over, you make a single decision, approving a payment, confirming an identity, deciding whether a request is genuine. One chance. Get it wrong, the money disappears. If that was the case, every one of us would slow down, ask another question, look for more evidence, probably check with someone else, would instinctively create space to make a good decision. Now, compare that with a typical working day. Back-to-back meetings, hundreds of emails, constant interruptions. We're rewarded for being responsive. The danger is we start making every decision at the same speed, whatever the stakes. Attackers understand that well. And that's why so many attacks carry urgency. I need this today. I'm about to board a flight. They're not just asking you to act quickly. They're trying to reduce how much time you have to think before you act. And the real leadership challenge isn't making decisions faster. It's recognizing the moments that deserve another minute. Those extra 30 seconds are often the cheapest, most effective security investment any organization can make. Cybersecurity Cybersecurity keeps reminding me that for all of the sophistication of modern technology, business is still fundamentally about people. When we see headlines in the news about a breach, they always focus on the technology, the criminal gangs, AI, malware, sophisticated hacking. It all sounds technical. But follow the story through, and it nearly always ends in the same place. A person making a decision. Someone trusts an email, approves a payment, shares a password, believes they're talking to the right person. That's the moment where the attack succeeds or fails. I've never liked calling people the weakest link. It's unfair and it isn't true. They're usually doing exactly what they're employed to do. They're helping a customer, supporting a colleague, keeping the business moving. It looks at the time like a perfectly reasonable decision. The opportunity isn't to stop people deciding. It's to help them decide better. You don't need everyone to become a cybersecurity expert, but you do need a culture where people feel comfortable asking one more question or taking another 30 seconds when it really matters. If every attack succeeds or fails on a single human decision, the most important investment isn't just better technology, it's the quality of judgment behind every decision that your people make. Before we move on, something that hopefully has been hiding in plain sight, I just want to say every image in this presentation was created using AI. Nothing's come from a stock library, none were photographs. I've used AI to create exactly what I wanted. And I didn't do that to demonstrate image generation. I did it so that you'd experience something. You've been looking at these images without stopping to question them. Why would you? They fitted the story and they gave you no reason to doubt them. That's exactly how trust works. Most of the time we don't consciously decide to trust something. Our brain decides for us because everything looks consistent with what we expect. And AI is becoming exceptionally good at creating that feeling. If it can build images for a presentation like this in minutes, imagine what it can create when the objective isn't to inform you, but to influence you. My point here isn't a conversation about AI images. Again, it's a point about judgment. As AI gets better at creating convincing content, our advantage won't be spotting what's fake. It will be knowing when something deserves another question. We're all going to become more familiar with the idea of a digital twin. Not a perfect digital copy of you. AI doesn't need that. It just needs enough information to understand how you're likely to think, communicate and respond. Every email, every LinkedIn post, every Teams meeting, every photo you share leaves behind another small piece of information about you. On its own, none of it matters much. Together, it builds a remarkably detailed picture. AI is exceptionally good at recognizing patterns, how you write, who you interact with, what kind of requests you respond to. An attacker no longer has to guess what might persuade you. Increasingly, they can create something written specifically for you. And that's a profound shift. We used to worry about mass phishing campaigns aimed at thousands of people. AI is making highly personalized deception available at scale. And that's a very different challenge. The lesson isn't to stop using technology or disappear from social media. That's not practical, nor is it desirable. It's that familiarity is no longer evidence of authenticity. A message knowing something about you doesn't make it genuine. As AI becomes more personal, our judgment must become more deliberate. The most convincing attacks won't look generic. They'll look like they were intended especially for you. Your brain is running legacy software, and you might look at this slide and think I'm saying that human beings are becoming obsolete. And actually, I'm saying almost the opposite. When I say your brain's running legacy software, I don't mean your intelligence. I mean the instincts we all rely on. They've evolved over thousands of years and they've served us extremely well. We trust familiar faces and confident voices. We respond to urgency. We build relationships through trust and reciprocity. There's nothing wrong with those instincts. The problem is attackers have learned to exploit them. AI hasn't changed human psychology. It's changed how easily someone can trigger it, sounding more convincing, looking more authentic, creating a stronger sense of familiarity than ever before. And that's why a human software update analogy works for me. When your laptop says a new version's available, it's not because the old one stopped working, it's because the world around it has changed. And I think that's exactly where we are. We don't need a new brain, and we don't need to become suspicious of everyone around us. We need an update to how we make important decisions. Our instincts are still valuable. They just need a little more curiosity, a little more verification, a little more judgment than the world demanded 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And that's exactly what the human operating system is designed to provide. So if our instincts need updating rather than replacing, what does that update actually look like? And this is where I think we stop treating cybersecurity as a collection of tools and start treating it as a way of thinking. And that's why I've called it the human OS. It's not a product, it's not something IT installs overnight. It's a different default response to our uncertainty. Most software updates aren't revolutionary. They refine, they improve, they make something more resilient to a changing world. And that's exactly what we need as leaders. We don't want organizations where every conversation begins with suspicion. Trust remains one of the most valuable assets that any business has. What we need is a better default when the stakes are high. Instead of reacting immediately, a little more curiosity. Instead of assuming something's genuine because it looks convincing, looking for context and behavior. Instead of letting urgency dictate the response, creating just enough thinking space for judgment to catch up. Small changes, but small changes in how people think often produce very significant changes in the decisions that they make. Human OS isn't really a cybersecurity framework, it's a leadership framework. Because once you improve how people think, you improve every important decision that your organization makes. So let's look at what that upgrade consists of. 3 simple habits that every leader and every organization should start developing. The first upgrade is probably the simplest, and I think the most powerful. For most of our working lives, we've judged authenticity by appearance. Professional looking email, familiar writing style, we relaxed. That wasn't bad judgment, it reflected the world as it was. The challenge is that appearance isn't the reliable indicator that it once was. AI can now produce beautifully written emails, convincing documents, and even voices that are almost indistinguishable from the real thing. So ask a different question. Not, does this look genuine? But, does this behave like the person I know? Imagine your finance director emails you asking you to approve an urgent payment. Perfect. Perfect branding, familiar language, nothing obviously wrong. Instead of focusing on the email, think about the person. Is this how they normally communicate? Would they usually ask it in this way? Is the urgency consistent with how they work? If you challenged it, would they expect you to? Those questions are much harder for an attacker to answer because they're not copying an email anymore. They're trying to copy years of behavior and context. This isn't really a cybersecurity principle. It's how trust has always worked. The people you trust most haven't earned it by writing good emails. They've earned it through consistent behavior over time. So perhaps it's time we started making our security decisions in the same way. The second upgrade sounds simple, but I think it's one of the most valuable leadership skills of the AI age. Create thinking space. Organizations rightly value responsiveness. We admire people who reply quickly and keep things moving. In most situations, that's the right approach. The difficulty is that attackers have realized something important. If they can make a decision feel urgent, they can reduce the quality of thinking behind it. I need this before lunchtime. I'm about to board a flight. The objective isn't just to make you act quickly, it's to stop you noticing that something doesn't fit. One of the greatest gifts a leader can give their team is permission to pause. Not permission to procrastinate, permission to stop for long enough to ask, does this make sense? Sometimes that's a breath before clicking approve. Sometimes it's a phone call. Sometimes it's asking a colleague to take a quick look. Those moments are measured in seconds, but they can prevent months of disruption. As leaders, think about what you reward. Criticize people for taking another minute and they'll optimize for speed. Support good judgment and they'll optimize for quality. In a world where AI produces information faster than ever, our advantage won't come from deciding more quickly. It will come from knowing which decisions deserve another moment of thought. The third upgrade will matter more each and every year, and it's remarkably simple: verify independently. Organisations that deal best with uncertainty share one habit. They never make important decisions on a single source of information. They're acquiring a business or recruiting a senior leader, making a major investment. They instinctively look for independent evidence before committing. Cybersecurity deserves the same discipline. If an email asks you to change bank details, don't reply to that email to check it's genuine. If it's authentic, why would you trust the reply? Call a number you already know. If a link asks you to log in, don't click it. Open a new browser window and use your own bookmark. If a colleague's team message asks you for something unusual, walk over or call them directly. The principle is straightforward. When a decision matters, don't verify it through the same route that delivered it. And what I like about this habit is that it has very little to do with technology. It's professional curiosity. It's recognizing that asking one more question isn't a sign that you don't trust someone, it's a sign that you understand that the decision matters. The best organizations make verification feel normal. Nobody's offended by a confirmation check because everybody understands it protects the organization, not the individual. As AI gets better at producing convincing messages, this habit becomes one of the defining traits of a resilient organization. Not because they trust people less, but because important decisions are always backed by independent evidence. As we come towards the end of the session, I'd like to bring this together into one idea. Every major technology advance comes with predictions that it will solve all our problems. In reality, what technology usually does is it changes the problems we're trying to solve. AI is no different. It's already helping us detect attacks faster. It's helping us analyze huge amounts of information and automate what used to take us hours. And every organization should be exploring how AI makes them more productive, more secure, and more competitive. But there's something that AI can't do. It can't take responsibility for your decisions. Someone in your organization still has to decide whether to trust a request, to approve a payment, to share sensitive information, or challenge something that doesn't feel right. Those moments don't belong to your firewall, your security platform, or your AI assistant. They belong to people. The organizations that thrive moving forward won't simply have the most advanced technology. They'll combine great technology with great judgment. Cultures where curiosity is encouraged, verification is seen as professionalism, and taking another minute over an important decision is a strength, not a weakness. So my message isn't to invest in less technology, it's to invest just as deliberately in your people. Help them understand not just what to do, but help them understand how to think. Technology protects your systems. Your people protect your decisions. And in the age of AI, that distinction has never mattered more. One final thought. We started with a simple observation. The world has changed. AI has fundamentally altered the environment in which we make decisions. The conclusion is equally simple. If the environment changes, we need to change with it. And that's why I've used the idea of the human OS throughout. When your laptop says a new version's available, it's not because the old one failed, it's because the world's moved on. And I think exactly the same is true of us. We don't need to become different people or to stop trusting one another. We need an upgrade in how we approach important decisions, one that trusts behaviour more than appearance, creates thinking space when the stakes are high, and makes independent verification part of our everyday culture. Those aren't technical changes, they're leadership changes. And that's why I'm optimistic. AI will keep transforming how we work, but the organisations that stand out won't simply have the best cybersecurity and the best AI. They will have the best judgment. If human OS were real software, then today would be the day that a notification appeared on your screen. A new version is available. My question is simply this: when you go back to your work after this, will you press install? AI is going to keep evolving. 12 months from now, we'll be talking about capabilities that don't exist today. And that's exciting. And organisations that embrace AI thoughtfully will gain a real advantage. But I hope that one thing stays with you. The strongest human firewall in your organisation isn't your firewall. It isn't your email security. It isn't your AI. It's the quality of judgment your people exercise every day. After this event, you'll receive an email from our events team, which will help you do a cybersecurity snapshot and reflect on this morning's session. And on that, you can ask any questions and you can request a copy of the slides. In addition, Thought Provoked is my speaking website. And if you scan this QR code, or enter the URL if you'd rather, it will take you there where you'll find a free companion guide to this talk and practical tools that you can use to keep this conversation going, all totally complimentary. Today isn't the end of the discussion. It should be the starting point. In your office, don't ask, how do we become more secure? Ask, how do we help our people make better decisions? Get that right, and you'll build an organisation that's not just more secure, but more resilient and better prepared for whatever comes next. Thank you for your time today. I really enjoyed sharing these ideas, and I hope that they spark some good conversations for you and your teams. Have a great day, and I hope our paths cross again soon. Thank you very much.